Welcome to the Quick Tap, where we are going to be reviewing the Springboks versus the Wallabies in Perth in just 5 minutes. Let's dive straight into it. The set piece debacles. George, what do you got?
Oh, yeah. In that weather, you would have expected us to keep things fairly simple, but you got a rookie hooker doing ridiculous lineouts, and it was obviously doesn't help sort of build his confidence. So lineouts, not good choice. Should have kept things a bit tighter. And then when it brought it down to scrums, we weren't that great in the first half in the scrums. We were okay. We kept them at bay, but we kept them at bay. That's about the best we could do. However, we moved over at some point to uncontested scrums, and that was, so I don't want to say the beginning of the end, but it just kind of changed things up a bit. But luckily, we could move things over to the maul. So that's where we're pretty freaking powerful.
Absolutely. Look, lost out on the scrum, but we absolutely destroyed them in the maul because they didn't have any props on the field. Well, George, let's move on to looking at players, reviewing the personnel. We'll start with the locks. So big time decision. Salman Murat getting the captaincy against a tier 1 nation for the first time. Obviously, he captained against Portugal, but it wasn't to be for him. Bit of a concussion early on. Brought Irvin Etzebeth on probably a little bit earlier than, well, actually very much a little bit earlier than Rassie would have liked, not getting the rest intended for him. But the other lock, Ruan Nokir, was absolutely outstanding. He had a little sauce about him. He had a bit of Lotte Jager about him. He looks like he's packed on a little bit. Maybe it's that Bok jersey looking absolutely fine on him. But fantastic work from the locks. On to Sasha. George.
Look, he's human. He is human. He wasn't his best game in the Bok jersey, but he didn't have a horrible game. He got all his kicks. He unfortunately costed a try. So close.
It's very slippery.
Very slippery. Just 2 hands. But he played well. He played well considering, all things considered.
Does that make us wonder whether he starts against the All Blacks?
Yes. I think some people might think, no, it's fine. He can start. Andre came on with Marnie at the same time, and things seemed to settle a bit more. Maybe the rain did also die down a bit. I don't know. Yeah. But it did seem a bit more settled. I think Andre should start. This is my opinion. And Sasha on the bench because, again, versatile as hell. Can cover a couple positions.
Number 9, Morne van den Berg didn't have probably his best game. Just lacked that kind of spark that you would get in the Lions matches in the URC. Probably to do with the weather. But George, when Grant Williams came on, it was just a sigh of relief, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It just seemed to settle down a bit, and I had that bit of sigh of relief. Nothing against Morne. It was tough conditions again. Wasn't his best game, but yeah, Grant Williams came on and I felt really comfortable.
He's got a dozen caps for the Boks. Obviously, the World Cup under his belt. Hasn't had much starting, but he looked the absolute piece to the puzzle, and long may that continue. George, we mentioned it there. Too many missed opportunities. It was something that plagued us through the game. 2 or 3 tries left out there.
Yeah, maybe even more. Well, definitely more, but the very obvious ones were a shame. I feel Sasha, we mentioned, Mapimpi, who very quickly put the ball under the wrong arm. He changed it, but he should have put it back.
And then Peter Steph Toy popping it up to Jesse Creel, unfortunately. But that's also part of the wet weather. Something that the All Blacks didn't struggle with. They absolutely ran up the scoreline against the RGs. It's a little bit of a kind of bad blood test back in Auckland, where they never lose anyway. But shows us where we need to get to, because if we're using the All Blacks as our marker, teams like Ireland as our marker, they can play in all conditions, and that's something that we're going to have to learn to step up to. George, there's been a lot of talk about the Wallabies improving in that game. Do you think they improved?
The scoreboard in the beginning, first half, showed it, but that's all. The weather kind of nullified that.
George,
I don't think they improved.
The weather's a great equaliser. I have seen a World Championship Springbok team lose to a very, very terrible Scotland team in Edinburgh because of the rain by a couple of points. I don't think the Wallabies had a great game plan. Their crossfield kicks were dire. They tried to open up once or twice. They were terrible. They just do not have the personnel. I do not think this is a new dawn for the Wallabies, and I do not think that game can be rated as an improvement for them at all, I'm afraid. George, last on the list, we're going to rate the teams and the referees. So, George, how many Brunners out of 5 are we giving the Springboks?
Oh, out of 5, can I give them 3.5 Brunners?
3.5 runners, not bad at all. And the Wobblies?
1.5 runners?
Oh.
Maybe one.
And onto the referee team, the team of referees, not just the referee in the middle of the pitch. What are you saying, George?
Or maybe 2.5. Maybe it might be harsh, but yeah, 2.5. I reckon. What do you reckon?
Yeah, a couple of odd decisions, but I must say one thing I did like is when the scrums went to uncontested, they actually let the 50-50 knock-ons go a little bit more, which I quite liked about it. That's our 5 in 5. So if you enjoyed the content, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, chuck a comment on below, anything that you think about the game, and we'll see you next time.